Hey y'all, it's Alyssa, and yesterday I saw One Battle After Another, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Teyana Taylor, Sean Penn, Regina Hall, and introducing Chase Infiniti. So I had such a good movie theater experience with this. So I'm going to give you my spoiler-free review of the movie and then go into what the experience of actually seeing this in a movie theater in IMAX, what that was like, but then also how, at least in my area, I'm not crazy about the way that they are rolling out the film in a theatrical way. Like, I just wish it was done in a little bit different of a way. And then maybe a few spoilers at the end, but I will definitely tell you when I get there. So, One Battle After Another is in some ways a really simple kind of plot wise story, but it doesn't feel simple when you're watching it. It feels so textured and it feels so layered, and you feel like you know so much about the characters. And the basic premise of it is that it's about revolutionaries and a specific couple. So it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Teyana Taylor, and they have a child, and something that happened in their past catches up with them later on and then affects their child Willa. So it really is. There are so many chase sequences, and the title is not lying. The title is definitely accurate. It is One Battle After Another. The movie doesn't stop, and there are so many positives about this. All I kept thinking is, because I played the Vulture movie fantasy league, was like, oh, it's gonna get a nomination: best picture, best director, best actor. But let me get into everything that actually worked. So I will start with something that may not sound where I should start, but to me, what kept this entire film together was the score, and that's Johnny Greenwood's score. And he must get nominated for best score, but I also feel, wow, I really want him to win, because this is a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, and it does not stop. And it feels so linked together. And every scene and every transition feels linked by this very specific score that makes you feel a very specific way at certain times. So whether you're getting that sort of like offbeat piano melody, or something that's going on with the music that's even connected to the father and the daughter and the way they try to stay connected. Everything in the score had a purpose, and it is impossible to get distracted during this movie. It's impossible to be like, I'm bored right now. And I feel like so much of it is, yes, the cinematography, the way that it's edited, the way that it just does layer characters on characters, and the incredible performances. But to me, the thing that links everything together is that score. Next, I'll talk about the acting. Now, I actually am not the biggest Leonardo DiCaprio fan. Sometimes I feel like he is acting, and I think he works better in certain roles than other roles. But I cannot stop thinking about his performance as Bob in this movie. I've never seen him like this before. It is such a like a kind of a stoner character in so many ways, and the character surprises you in so many ways because of what you would expect a protagonist in a story to be like. And I did hear in an interview people comparing the character to sort of like the dude in The Big Lebowski, and I definitely see it. But what I think shocked me was how comfortable Leonardo DiCaprio was with the humor, with the pacing, just like hitting every beat perfectly. And I can't believe I'm going to say that. I think this is, for me, my favorite role and my favorite performance he's ever done. Like, I just felt so connected to the character, and then so emotionally in sync. Like, I for how opposite he was from me, I just cared about this character so incredibly much. And On the opposite end of things, Sean Penn was beyond anything. I think his character's name is like Stephen Lockjaw. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It is great kind of satire. But what I would say is what I loved about the movie and even the performance is like, yes, it's satire, but it's also so much of screwball comedy. And it's also so serious. So it's mixing genres constantly, but in a way that makes sense. And I thought that Sean Penn's character, while he is very objectively the villain of the story, he plays it with these very specific details and nuances and movements of, say, the character's face or little ticks that he does or the way that he walks, where I felt like I understood everything about this character and saw, even in a person that doesn't seem like a real person, I saw actual humanity. And that is all due to Sean Penn's performance. And he just, you couldn't look away from anyone here. Now, another person I keep hearing about potentially getting nominated is Teyana Taylor. Also, I've heard Regina Hall for Best Supporting Actress, and Teyana Taylor is amazing, and she takes total control of the movie right away. She's very, very strong. I'm forgetting the name of the movie that I saw her in. I'll put it down here, but this film, her performance left me breathless, and I could not believe she did not get nominated for Best Actress. So I went into this knowing she is such a good actress, and her performance does not disappoint, though I will say, in my opinion, Best Supporting Actress would be very much up for grabs. Like, yes, I also thought Regina Hall was very, very good in the movie, but the one person I haven't heard being talked about for this is probably the one that I would nominate if I could, and that is the young actress who plays Willa, the daughter. Her name's Chase Infiniti. I'm pretty sure this is her first movie. I've never seen her in anything before, and she had, to me, the most layered character of anyone. She was strong, but she was also still just a kid and a teenager, and her interactions with her and her dad were very much what you would expect as a teenager. But then she could just kind of shift in terms of strength, vulnerability, uncertainty. You would see so much of her mom's personality in her character, but a vulnerability that you necessarily don't see from the mom, or at least for a large, part of the film. And so I just thought her performance needs to be talked about more. And she just kind of was the center in so many ways of the movie. So the acting in this is ridiculous. Benicio del Toro, don't even get me started. He is so funny, so just like relaxed and comfortable, and the ultimate sort of like juxtaposition to Leonardo DiCaprio's character. But yet, these things, even though they are hyperbolic and there's a lot that's over the top, and I heard, Steven Spielberg say this is like Dr. Strangelove, and yes, it is, in the sense of, wow, I can't believe how of the moment this movie is. Like, there was a point when I'm watching the film where I thought, did Paul Thomas Anderson, did he like pause time, make the movie, and then unpause time? Like, it doesn't make sense that this movie, with everything that's going on in the world right now, came out exactly as these things are happening. Like, it is unsettling in that respect, and it is very like Dr. Strangelove, the humor and what it is trying to say, and the satire. I absolutely see that comparison, but the one thing that is so different from it is that it has so much more of a heart than Dr. Strangelove does. Like, there is a macro story going on for sure, but there is also this micro story going on with the family and with the father and the daughter and the community. And that story is never lost sight of for the entire film. And to me, this is what makes the movie great, is that, and I'll compare it to another thing that I definitely was thinking about as I was watching, is Eddington. And I really liked Eddington, but one of my criticisms, two of the criticisms would be one, it was kind of too long. I thought there could have been more editing. And I'm not a person who needs a short movie. It's just like the pacing was slightly off in the movie. But two, you don't feel anything emotionally for any of the characters. And while I can watch and appreciate films like that, those movies are never going to have my heart. And this movie had my heart and my brain. Also, my brain in the sense of, wow, this is so technically well made. Some of the chase sequences in this, I just kept thinking, oh, this is setting even a new standard because I'm seeing things from a perspective and like the set and the locations of where they filmed that I've never seen in a movie before. And the way they set things up with certain chase sequences and how they come back around, I was just so impressed. Obviously, I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I think he is one of the greatest American directors to have ever lived. And this movie is definitely solidifying that opinion. But I've never seen him do something that was this technically difficult to make, that used action, that used comedy, that really, and he's so good, obviously, at like layering multiple stories and multiple characters together. But it went to the next level in this case. And it had this thing where it is so artistically sound and it's saying something. It had a very strong message, but it was also really entertaining. And at 2 hours and 40 minutes, to not be bored for 1 minute of the movie is pretty impressive. When we got to the end, it feels like it's longer, but you're never for one moment bored. And a lot of that also, besides the music, is the incredibly fast-paced editing, but also the cinematography and that style and that use of negative space that I'm very familiar with when I watch PTA movies. And you definitely see it here. Like some of the certain shots that should not be stuck in my brain, like when they were in the little karate studio and it's Benicio del Toro and it's Leonardo DiCaprio and he's moving around the space. That should not be an incredibly interesting shot sequence to me, yet I can't get that out of my head. And that's what I think of when I think of Paul Thomas Anderson movies, like even in Punch Drunk Love, when you're in the warehouse where Adam Sandler works, it's not nice looking, but the shot composition is so distinctive and so beautiful, while at the same time looking so realistic, that to me, that is Paul Thomas Anderson. And there's still those like tons of swooping cameras, long takes, sequences where you're like, how did they do this with the camera? It was just, all in all, such a great experience. You should absolutely see this in the movie theater and see this on IMAX. Now, this is where I want to kind of transition to my movie theater experience, seeing it in IMAX. It was great. Everybody was laughing. The theater was very filled up, especially for 3:15. Like it wasn't even a night show or anything like that. But everyone who was there was really into it. People were clapping at certain parts. I haven't had that kind of experience in a really long time in a movie theater. So the first thing I did was, oh, I wonder, is there anything big coming out next weekend? And will this still be in IMAX? Because I would definitely go see this again on IMAX. However, it's not going to be playing in my theater, hopefully in your theater. It's not going to be on IMAX because Avatar, The Way of Water, is what's going to be playing on the IMAX screen. And this is what I don't understand. A movie like One Battle After Another, it's expensive. It's $75 million. It's shot on VistaVision. You're meant to see this in a movie theater, and not just a movie theater, but a very specific type of screen. And if you don't live, near a city, your only option is to see it on an IMAX screen. But if the IMAX is only playing it for 1 week, what are you doing? What's the point? How does James Cameron have a stakehold on the movie theater where he's going to be getting all the IMAX screens. And once again, this is just, I know in my theater when I looked it up, he's going to get all the IMAX screens for a movie that's already released, for a movie that, I'm sorry if you liked it, was awful. Like, actually awful. And so you're taking away from one of the great directors. And yes, James Cameron has made very incredible films. I would say even one of his films is slightly referenced in this movie. But let the director who has the new movie get the screens. That's the way it should be. And it's also not playing in Dolby because the Taylor Swift concert, whatever it is, that is going to be coming. Oh, here is Rosie. This is my kitty. Oop. Come here, Rose. All right. She really liked the movie too. She heard me talking about it all last night. So I don't understand why this movie is only getting basically a week to make its real money, because it's going to make more in Dolby and it's going to make more in IMAX. But yet then they're going to say it didn't make enough money. And I do feel like this is the kind of thing that's a word of mouth film, and that the more people are going to see it, the more they're going to say, you have to go see this in the movie theater. But then what are they just going to see it on like a smaller screen? And no one even has the option. Now, in the future, maybe they will re-release it in IMAX, but I just think this is such a silly way to release a movie that is definitely for adults, that is definitely for the big screen, and then you just give it up in a week because what, James Cameron has more clout and obviously Taylor Swift has more clout, but like in the world of art, doesn't Paul Thomas Anderson have more clout? I don't know. It really annoyed me because I want to see it again, and hopefully I'll be able to see it again in IMAX at some point. So I really think that you should watch this film. I want to get into just like a few spoilery things that I loved about the movie and feel like, oh, you can't, I wouldn't have wanted to give it away. But I'm still sort of just processing the movie. So this is your warning right here. Thank you for watching. If you haven't seen the film, please stop here. So one, I want to talk about Sean Penn's character and the end of the movie. Like, that was, when you think he's dead and you think it's over, it is like there he is coming back to life. And the way he moves with that limp, but he also looks like a robot. And I heard Leonardo DiCaprio say in one of the interviews, but also I was thinking this as I saw it, was, oh my God, is the Terminator. Like, he never goes down. Like, he doesn't have a moment when he goes down. And he even kind of looks like in T2, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, the other character. Like, he looks like that, he moves like that, he has such a, strong robotic face. But what I loved about his performance is how just fearful, in such a subtle way, Sean Penn looks throughout the entire film. Like, there is not a moment where, yes, he's exuding this kind of like very masculine strength, but he's also looks so incredibly afraid, with like the small movements in his mouth, the small movements in his eyes. I just thought he could have made this character full on hyperbole and just full on evil villain, and he still grounds the character in this sort of like, he feels very like childish and still a kid, and just very fearful, and this strong desire for power and the desire to do whatever he has to do to maintain this power, and the fact that he will kill his own daughter, which, that was not a surprise. There were people in the theater that were gasping when you found out that was his daughter. And I was like, seemed pretty obvious to me from the beginning. The beginning sequence of the movie, when you saw what happened between him and her, like, obviously that was going to end up being the dad. But I still thought it was all like a lot of fun. But the other thing that just stood out in my head so much was that last chase sequences where you're going, up and down the road. I've never seen anything like that. And seeing that on an IMAX screen and feeling, I don't want to say it was nauseating, but definitely feeling like I was moving up and down, and how I was feeling, oh my God, I can't see what's coming next. And then to have that be the end of the chase sequence where Willa just stops the car and runs out, and then that weird, like, also that weird Christmas group that was so funny to me, and that was the most Doctor Strangelove I thought the movie got. But it was so funny and weird and abstract. And when you go into the house and there's that thing of like underground tunnels, and you see where they're meeting these four guys and how just like awful, and how did they have any power, and one looked like, he was practically dying. Like, it was all so well done, and it had these great kind of like larger issues about the world that we're in. But also the moments with Leonardo DiCaprio, especially at the end of the movie, I was, they're going to find their way back together. There's no way the father and daughter are not, and that she's not going to like love him more than anything. But it was honestly so emotional when they were together. And then when she reads the letter from her mother, and now I can say the thing about the best supporting actress is Teyana Taylor is amazing, but she's only in the first 20 minutes, which obviously doesn't matter for supporting. And I did think that the way she reads the letter at the end of the movie, that could be worth the nomination right there, to see like that strength and just utter relentlessness in the beginning of the movie, and then compare it to the letter that the daughter reads from the mom at the end. That was an incredible performance. I just really wish that Chase Infiniti got a little more buzz, and maybe she will, because now it's out in the theater and people are seeing their performance. So I'm hoping she gets recognized somewhere for something. But I thought really the whole idea of what parents and the kind of baggage that parents bring to their children, and how they'll do whatever they have to do to have their kid not experience that baggage. And in this case, for her to not have a cell phone, which is impossible in this day and age. No teenager is going to just be like, yes, I will not have a cell phone. But the fact that he would do whatever to protect her, and you never really can protect your kids. And in the end, it's still going to come back, and everything that he did, that the mom did, especially the mom with ratting out the entire French 75, like, it's going to come back around. And the way that people look at the daughter, especially when you go into the sequence with the nuns, I thought that was really great, and not just like, oh, these characters are heroes. And also looking at Bob's character, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's in so many ways a very real hero, because he doesn't, everything goes wrong when he, doesn't remember the password. He falls off of the roof and doesn't make that jump in a way that like you would actually never expect it. Everything he does pretty poorly. But the thing that makes him great and a hero is that he never stops trying. And I feel like that's what it means to be a parent, is you're going to do a lot of things incorrectly and you're going to mess up, but at the end of the day, you're going to keep going because you love your child so much. And so in that sense, he's the most wonderful, realistic hero that we've seen in a movie in a really long time. And it was nice to see him. My husband and I, we were looking at his filmography, and we think this is only the second time he's ever played a dad. So he was a dad in Revolutionary Road, and then this, and Revolutionary Road barely counts. The kids are just like in the movie, I guess, but they're not an important part of the film. But that character got my heart so much. So in that macro way, to kind of show the world that we're living in and sort of the ridiculousness of people in power, that was so nicely put next to a small emotional story with a father and a daughter, and a group of people who in the end really did just take care of each other. And that's where Regina Hall's character, I wish she was in it just a little bit more, because she was so protective and maternal of Willa throughout the whole movie, even before she was born, when they're talking about like, does Perfidia Teyana Taylor's character even know that she's pregnant. And I just thought she was a really great character. And I wish I just got a little more of her. But all in all, this is just such a wonderful movie. I can't wait to hear what you guys say, what you think about it, and if this affected you, if you think this is going to be in your best films of the year. I'm certain it's going to be for me. And if you think this is going to get a lot of awards and nominations. So if you stuck this far, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please think about doing it. And I will see you all later. Bye.